Hi everyone and welcome to Story Time. Now, if you joined me last week, you would have heard me tell you the tale of Theseus and the Minotaur. The Minotaur being a terrible beast that was half man, half bull, and it lived in a maze, also known as the Labyrinth. It was defeated by the great hero Theseus. And not only did he kill the Minotaur, but he also fled with King Minos's daughter. This made King Minos very cross indeed, not only because he escaped with his daughter, but also because he betrayed her by leaving her on the island of Naxos as he himself carried on back to Athens. King Minos indeed really wasn't happy, and he demanded to see a man called Daedalus. "Bring Daedalus here," he commanded. Daedalus was the man who invented and created the great labyrinth within which the Minotaur lived. Daedalus stood there, trembling in front of King Minos. There was silence for a while, but the king couldn't hold his anger any longer. "You explain yourself," he said. "You told me that nobody could get out of that maze." "Well, your majesty," said Daedalus, "you see, it doesn't matter how big a maze is. He had a ball of thread. Anybody can escape a maze with a ball of thread." "That's not good enough," he said. "Really sorry, your majesty, and I'm especially sorry about the girl." "The girl!" he cried. "My daughter! He had the audacity to take her away from here without my permission. You explain yourself now." I have no answer, your majesty," said Daedalus. "Well, that's not good enough," said the king. "Gods, you will take Daedalus and his son. They must be taken to a cell in the highest tower and locked up there, where they will think and consider their folly. And while they're thinking, I will consider their punishment. And believe me," he said, pointing at Daedalus, "when I do think of your punishment, it will be especially unpleasant. Take them out of my sight." And so it was that poor Daedalus and his son Icarus were taken to a cell high up in a tall tower. The tower itself was made of stone and consisted of just one room, within which there was a huge open window. Oh, you might think they could escape through the window, but it was so high up, there was no way they were going to escape that way. Well, the two of them sat there. Icarus, Daedalus' son, was a young man. He was very brave and he liked to have adventures, and so being cooped up for days on end in a cell really didn't make him happy at all. "Dad," he said, "I don't understand. We did everything the king asked. We made the maze, we put the Minotaur inside, and you've done loads of great work for the king. You've made all these buildings, this tower in now, these cells you designed and made yourself." "Ah, son," said Daedalus, "I don't understand either. You're right, we did everything he asked, but he certainly isn't very happy. Now, we must think. We've got to find a way of getting out of here. There has to be a way. We're both very clever. If we put our minds together, we might think of a way. But we have to do it quick. We've got to do it before he comes up with a punishment and takes us out of here." So they thought, and Daedalus came up with a really good plan. Every day when the gods brought them some bread to eat, Daedalus would take half of the bread for himself, and the other half he would break up into little pieces. And those little crumbs of bread would be scattered on the floor of the cell just below the open window. It wasn't long before the birds realised that there was free food there for them, and more birds would come to the window ledge and then hop into the cell to take some of the food. Meanwhile, Daedalus would creep into the corner and hide there in the shadows, very quietly. And when the birds were happily pecking away, he would pounce like a cat and grab one. When he had a bird in his hand, he would pull from it, he would pluck out its largest feather, and then he would let the bird go free. And over the matter of 2 or 3 weeks, he collected a great pile of feathers, all large feathers. Now in those days, boys and girls, you didn't have electric lights. They would light the cell by candle. And so what Daedalus did was took wax, hot dripping wax from the candle, and used that to fix the feathers together. And in this way he created a set of large wings, 2 sets of wings, one for him and one for his son Icarus. Now they had a means of escape. Looking at his son, he said, "Listen, we're going to use these to escape. We're going to fly far away from this kingdom and find another land where we can live safely, far away from King Minos. But listen carefully, son," he said. "This is very important. These wings are not strong. They are only made of the things we could get a hold of, wax and feathers. You must be careful when we fly out. And you mustn't fly too high, not too close to the sun, because it may melt the wax." Now, they stood up with the wings attached to themselves on the great window ledge. And it was quite terrifying to look down below, a long, long way down to the ground. The wings hadn't been tested, so they had to put a lot of faith into how they'd work. So, shaking a little, they stood on the ledge. And trying not to look down again, they took a great leap of faith into the open air. To begin with, they fell, and their hearts lifted into their stomachs as they dropped like stones, but soon the wings caught the air. The currents, the thermals lifted them up, and they beat the wings, and they flew like giant birds. The sensation was incredible. At first, it really was scary, but soon they got used to it, and they managed to control the great wings. Icarus was having the time of his life. He loved adventures, he loved excitement. And soon, down he dove towards the water. And then he'd swoop up again and soar into the sky. But his dad called to him, "Icarus, come back, you must fly close to me. It's too dangerous. We must stay together all the way." "Okay," he said, and they both flew, beating their great wings. But it was only a short amount of time before Icarus again wanted more excitement. And again he peeled away, and down he soared, and up he flew. And then tried to get some more excitement by diving even steeper, and then doing great loop-the-loops in the air. And then he shouted, "Father, look at me, look what I can do." And he started flapping his wings harder and harder. Higher and higher he went into the air, and higher still. "Come back, Icarus," his father shouted. "You're going too high. Come back down to me." But Icarus wouldn't listen. Higher and higher he flew, not listening to his dad. Why wouldn't he listen? Foolish, foolish youth. He flew too high. Boys and girls, he got too close to the sun. He could feel the heat of the sun on his face, but still higher he went. The warmth of the sun not only heating his face and his body started to heat the wax on the wings, and the wax quickly started to melt. It was only then a matter of seconds before the feathers started to fall away, and without the feathers and the wings, Icarus suddenly fell from the sky. For a mile he dropped like a stone all the way down, and with a great crash dropped into the great sea below, never to be seen again. He should have listened. And to this day, boys and girls, the sea in the place where Icarus fell is actually called the Icarian Sea. It lies in between the Mediterranean and the Aegean Sea. And you can find it on a map. If you don't believe me, you can have a look in an atlas and you might see it there. Lots of islands around that area. And I think there's a lesson in that story, everybody. That is to listen to your grown-ups. They usually know best. And, well, it is good to have some excitement. And taking risks can be a good thing. But sometimes you've got to be careful. The risks can be too great. And what you're doing can become quite foolish, as in the case with Icarus. Well, that's a good Greek myth. I hope you enjoyed that one, boys and girls. And I'll see you next time with some more stories. That's it. Bye for now.